who looked a little rejuvenated himself in those terrible uniforms, in my opinion, terrible. Jalen, they're a 500 team, 1.5 games out of the 8th seed. We all thought this team was going to slide into the lottery and Rudy Gobert got hurt. But now they look pretty formidable. Could we see the Jazz in the playoffs this year? I think so. Do you?
I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, and I was surprised that they traded Rodney Hood, a young talent that clearly continues to show promise. I understand that they didn't want to give him a long-term contract, but man, their 9-game win streak is really impressive. Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower, everything starts and ends with him being the anchor of their squad, their best player. It's been really impressive, but I do not feel like they're going to be a playoff team.
Oh, man, I was so excited about the Jazz, and the fans of Utah were getting all excited, and there you have to go just being negative and saying they're not in the playoffs. But it is, if you do look at the Western Conference, there are 8 teams that are better than the Jazz. And one of the things I loved about this was the resurgence of Ricky Rubio. He didn't play this weekend, but he has been playing really, really well. And I think a lot of people on the East Coast don't necessarily see these games because they start a little later, but the Jazz have been extremely fun to watch, especially in the last 2 weeks. Another team that gets completely ignored in the Eastern Conference are the leaders of the Eastern Conference in the standing, the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are now all alone as the #1 seed in the East. However, all anyone wants to talk about are the Celtics and the Cavs and which one of those 2 teams are going to make the finals. They've fallen short in the playoffs before, but could this be the year that the Raptors take that #1 seed and that home court advantage and ride it all the way to the NBA Finals to eventually lose to the Warriors?
I think the Cleveland Cavaliers acquisitions now make them my favorite to win the Eastern Conference. But props to the Toronto Raptors, who, unlike the Washington Wizards, both teams veteran-laden, have made the playoffs the last couple of years, has had various of degrees of success and or failures that we can look back to. For the Raptors, it starts with the improvement of DeMar DeRozan. He's now able to shoot that 3-ball, which unlocks the floor for Serge Ibaka and Valanciunas. Dwayne Casey's done a terrific job of coaching that team. But the key for their squad, are we going to see regular season Kyle Lowry in the playoffs?
Yep.
That's what people are kind of waiting to see what's going to take place. But don't be surprised if the Raptors, not the Celtics, make it to the conference finals.
I mean, one of the things about this particular Raptors team is their depth. They have 11 players that are averaging 6 points or more. That is something that has never happened in the history of the NBA. Could this depth and this balanced scoring and the way they share minutes, and it's a different person every night, the Van Fleets of the world can end up scoring 20 on any given night. Can that actually hurt them in the playoffs when rotations get shorter, you end up playing 8 people every night instead of 12?
I don't think so. When you have multiple players that can ball and contribute, I think that gives you the opportunity to win in different fashions. That's what happens come playoff time. You have to be able to play different ways to win a game, to win a series. You have to be able to transform how you play from one series to another. So I never think depth is a bad thing. It's one of the things that I'm looking at with the Golden State Warriors. I'm not sure about players 5 through 10. We know if they have a stout 4 All-Stars, but as I look deeper into the box score, Iguodala and Livingston aren't playing the way they were in the past. Zaza Pachulia is what he is at this point of his career.
And
David West,
Nick Young hasn't been letting it up either.
No question about it. So that's what I'm looking for in that team. But for the Raptors, I don't think it's going to be a negative at all.
Well, Blake Griffin's and the Pistons, they didn't continue their win streak over the weekend, but there was a very interesting moment, one of those I have to ask Jalen about this moments. So your Pistons are playing against the Hawks, your brand new guy, your all-star, the face of the franchise, Blake Griffin is taking the ball out of bounds, and there's a little break in the action. He throws the ball at the ref, and it hits Dennis Schroeder in the back of the head, and he gets teed up. Now, he's got this whole look on his face like, I didn't do that intentionally. He even said sorry immediately after he did it. He's a professional basketball player, Jalen Rose. Do you think he intentionally or accidentally hit Dennis in the back of the head with the ball?
It was an intentional accident.
Oh, I like what you did there. Explain.
It's one of those things like when you first think about it, you're like, I'm going to do this. And then as the ball leaves your hand, you're like, oh, no, I I shouldn't have did that.
Did that. Yeah.
That's when it becomes an accident.
I like the apology too, because like we all know, like it was an intentional accident. Like he was like gonna throw it to the ref. He's like, ooh, shoulder just happens to be in between me and the ref. I've got a little frustration I want to vent. Let me just throw it in the back of his head. When the ball's in the air, he's like, ooh, that's really gonna hit him in the back of the head. And then once he hits him, he's like, oh, my bad. It's like, here's the thing, Blake Griffin. You can throw that little basketball into a tiny little hoop from 35 feet away. And I've seen you do it over and over and over and over again. And we also are a bit of a habitual line stepper when it comes to intentional accidents. We remember this? Remember the water toss? When he was there, it's just like, oh, what's going on? Oh, look at that play up there. And he throws the water. Just all happens to be on the only non-Clipper fan sitting in the front row there. I think this was, as you said, an intentional accident. However, I fully support it. I fully support this competitiveness from Blake Griffin. Jalen, coming up next on Jalen and Jacoby, it's time to keep it moving.